Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And I am so happy to say he's back. Mr. Jason Pritchard, chapter 14, I think, of my book, and often referred to as the best investor I know in Fresno, California. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Zuber, how are you?
I'm doing well. So we got three exciting topics today. They really kind of intertwine together, but we got to start with kind of step one. I did a 60-minute Zoom call with my students yesterday with over 100 people on it, going deep on the buy box. I was going to put that just in the course. It was so valuable. It's now live. It went live 3 minutes ago on my channel. So folks, check that out. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about buy box is you still talk about a buy box. You've been in the business a long time. You've done hundreds of deals.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw on IG like yesterday, the day before, like, dude, here's the buy box. So
Yeah.
talk about why a buy box is important to a guy like you who's killing it out there. What is it? Why is a buy box so important?
I think whether you're brand new or a seasoned investor, I think we have to have some parameters that allows us to make smart business decisions. There's a lot of risk in this business, and we need to mitigate our risk, I feel like, by adding some of these parameters or including a buy box in there. And it can be so emotional sometimes. I think sometimes when we're going out and trying to find these deals, some months you can be flush, some months you can be down. And when you're down, you start to get desperate and you can sometimes get out of those parameters. And for us, we just always stay disciplined. And I think now, especially that we've hit kind of this inflection point in the market, it's going to be even more important to stick to those fundamentals. And that's what I'm telling my team in all of our meetings. I'm saying, hey, we're going to get laser focused right now and stick with our bread and butter deals that got us here. And I think those are the things that are going to get us through this transitionary market.
Yeah. What I want, and again, this was kind of like first 10 minutes of that hour. What I really want people to understand a buy box, there's two things inherent in it. One is, as you've said, it's permission not to look at other stuff. And for a lot of you, you all need some big ass permission because you're all over the freaking place.
Yep.
I don't know how many investors I talked to. I asked them one day, they're here and they're not here and here and here in one city. They're in different flipping states. I'm like, I'm sorry. You can't compare Texas with Alabama, with New Hampshire, with Michigan. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
Like it's just, you can't do that. They're so different. But even if I step back to a buy box in Fresno, which we've both been fishing in for, 40 years combined, our buy boxes changes all the time. Like, for example, your buy box today, which you posted, which if you want, you can share. If somebody wants to send you a lead, that's cool. Is different than 12 months ago. It just is. The market's changing and your buy box shifts with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 12, 18 months ago, we were taking on large projects, high ticket stuff, $1 million flips, things that we had never done before because it was a literal feeding frenzy in the market. I mean, all the way up to the highest price points in Fresno, there was no inventory. Anything that was getting listed, even $1 million plus, was going very, very quickly. And so we looked at that as a window of opportunity. And I would tell my team, we've got a little bit of a runway here. And so we're going to take advantage because it is not always going to be like this. And fortunately, we've positioned ourselves in a way where a lot of our bigger flips are in escrow or we've just sold them off and we're clearing those things off of our books. And now that buy box is changing significantly. We're not doing anything high end. Even the mid-range, and what I would consider kind of mid-range up here is like 500 to 6 or 700,000 stuff with resale values in that price point. Mm-hmm. Unless they're just absolute slam dunks or no brainers, that we're just not even going to waste our time looking at them because just like you said, Zuber, I think so many investors I see get distracted because they're looking all over the place. And we've fallen down that same pitfall too. It's just, we're looking at mobile home parks and we're looking at Airbnbs and we're looking at stuff out in markets that are 3-4 hours away. And it takes away our focus from the deals that got us here. I call them our bread and butter deals. These are the deals that pay the bills. These are the deals that are easy to flip. These are the deals that are easy to rent out. They're the deals that are easy to wholesale to other investors. There's so much demand for those. Mm-hmm. And we've spent the last maybe 3 to 4 months just kind of getting very, very clear on what that is, tightening our focus, putting blinders on and saying anything that comes in, right, that even just comes into the top of our lead funnel. If it doesn't meet this criteria, we're not even going to waste time underwriting and evaluating that deal. We're just going to pass on that one and then move on to something that fits.
Yeah, this is so important because again, the beauty of my channel is I've got, I think, 6 or 7,000 videos, but my experts come back every week or every other week, like yourself. So Omar, a real estate entrepreneur, basically you in the high desert.
I'm connected with Omar. Yeah, he's a super cool dude. I like him. Man.
So he and I, about 18 months ago, we were very loud. We said, this is the best market to do what we called lipstick flips at any price point.
Yep.
And I did, I don't know, 9 of them or something. He did like 90 of them. Not 90, but I don't know, 55.
A lot of them. Yeah.
A lot more than 9.
Yep.
And it was all up and down the stack. And again, that's very clear. And I hope people realize it's not that market anymore.
No. That train left the station and it's not coming back. And so
not for a while.
Yeah. And we're right now in the process of talking a lot of sellers off that ledge. So right now, this is why buy box is even more important for investors like me. It's because the shoe has not dropped off the other foot, right? I think the buyers are realizing like, ooh, I don't know, man, these interest rates are higher. We're going to have to cool off a little bit. But a lot of the sellers we're trying to negotiate with to buy properties,
they're have that over here.
Yeah. They're like, oh, maybe I can still get, 50,000 over asking. Maybe we don't need to do anything and we'll throw it up and he gets 30 offers.
Yeah.
And so now's even more important to become patient because those sellers right now, the ones that you talk to today that haven't realized what have happened 2, 3, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months down the road, they're going to be the people that are like, hey, yes, I am open to that cash offer, Jason. So, just being strong with your fundamentals, knowing how to run numbers, follow up, all of those things are going to be very important right now.
Yeah. I want to talk I'm going to take a minute to talk to agents. Because Phil, again, the last 2 years, if you got a listing, it was pretty easy to sell, get paid.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell agents today that getting a listing, just getting any listing, on average could just be a waste of complete time.
Yeah.
If you haven't, this is my words, not yours. If you have a seller that is anchored on what I call wish pricing and they will not budge. And more importantly, when you tell them, again, we'll use Fresno numbers, 600 grand in a 500 market.
Yep.
And they're anchored. And maybe you could go to them and say, hey, okay, we're going to try your price because the seller is never wrong and blah, blah, blah. But after 2 weeks, we have no offers. Do you agree to lower to 5.25 or something like that? If they don't say yes, and they're like, no, 600 is all I'm selling, let a different agent have that. The market is fundamental. There are going to be so many agents that have listings that don't go anywhere. Days on market are going to explode. Listings are going to explode. In some of those, they'll just take it off, right? They'll let the 90-day contract expire and we are going to have not real sellers for the next 6 months, right? Yeah. Just because you list it doesn't mean you're really a seller. If I want to sell my car for $200,000, but it's worth 20 grand, am I really a seller?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not really. No. Yeah. I feel like I've had a lot of discussions with other agents, other investors, professionals that I like and trust in this business. And I think this is going to be the time when a lot of the fly-by-night people that have jumped in over the last 2 years are starting to get weeded out. And so,
that's up and down the stack, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, to your point right now, what you're saying about agents, I feel like you have to have that conversation with them and let them know that if we don't get anything, within the first 2 weeks, like you said, there's got to be a significant price reduction, or otherwise we're wasting both of each other's time. And you can't be afraid to have that talk. You know what I mean? You have to be confident enough in your expertise and your ability to be able to communicate that to a seller in a way that lets them know like, hey, you've kind of missed the boat here, but we can still help you as long as we can come down to a reasonable price. And I think, I think that's going to be the strategy moving forward.
Yeah. I think, again, I know you're doing this, you're a leader, you're mentoring people all over the country now. Agents, you're going to have your job is going to be harder and more valuable than ever. Mm-hmm. And some of you aren't ready. Mm-hmm. Some of you will never be ready. And some of you will be blown out.
Yeah.
The people that survive the next 2 years will have Rolodexes, experience, and just be so much stronger. We're probably going to lose 20 to 25% of agents, just like the last pivot. They'll just go. It's too hard. Sellers don't like me or whatever, right? I mean, when life gets hard, some people run away.
This is the time to really work on your skill set. I feel like for people, you can't be a one-trick pony right now in this business. It's not going to work, like whether you're just an agent or just a cash buyer or whatever, if you want to thrive, and I'm not talking about just surviving, I'm talking about thriving, you have to have multiple tools in your toolbox, and you have to know when and where to deploy those things. And that's how I've always trained my team. We go there and try to take a consultative approach versus trying to force them down one path or another, right? Trying to make them sell for 50 cents on the dollar or make them list when listing is not the right option. You're better off having all these different tools at your disposal, lay out all the options to those sellers and let them pick. You're going to convert more opportunities when you do it that way. You and the seller are both going to feel better about that interaction because you're not twisting their arm and making them do something that, may or may not be the right thing. You're literally saying, hey, if selling the house is something you want to do, I'm very confident that I can be a resource for you. Here are all your options at your disposal. You tell me which one's the best one, and I can facilitate it for you. Because the hard part, and this is what most agents or investors don't realize, the hard part's actually getting in front of the seller. If you can get somebody to like and trust you enough to the point where they invite you into their house to really sit down and talk about doing something that's as big of a decision as selling a property, which for most people is the biggest financial decision they're going to make, that's the most difficult part. Once you're there, then you have to just lay those options out, let them decide. And that's the approach we take. And it's worked very, very well for us.
Yeah. And you're mentoring more and more agents across the country now. How are people finding you and following you, and how are they reaching out to
the best place to reach out to me right now? We're building out a platform that agents will be able to tap into very soon. But right now, just on social media, either on Instagram, just my name, Jason Pritchard, or Facebook. If you just message me and reach out to me, we can set up a time to talk about how my team and I can help you skill up on the investment side and take advantage of some of the things that I think are going to work very well in this upcoming market.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to go back to is a comment you made, because I just want to hit it one more time as we wrap up episode 1. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money in the last 2 years. There's a podcast that I listened to called the All In Podcast. A couple episodes ago, they mentioned this is about private companies, but I think it applies to our market as well. The market has been fueled by cocaine and Red Bull, which I translate, it's been really easy to make money.
That's true.
Some people out there have bad habits, bad operations, made a lot of money.
Yep.
I'm here to tell you right now, you're going to go broke. You're not going to pivot. You're not going to add skill sets. You're going to be a one-trick pony, and you're going to get crushed. So be careful. I mean, if the fact that Jason and I have tightened up our buy box and we're excited about the buy box, but we're not all over here, needs to tell you it's time to pivot. So it's about surviving and thriving.
You need to start plugging all the leaks in your business right now. And I think we all have them, right? So I think you need to take a good hard look in the mirror and realize, where are those leaks operationally, financially, in your processes, sales and acquisitions, all of these things that we're talking about, and really refine them and finding a balance between refining them. I'm not personally talking about scaling back, right? And so I think that's a message that I do want to get across to people. We're not going to stop buying. We're just getting more particular about it, and we're getting more focused, right? Because if we're not buying property, we don't have a business. So, there's that too, right? And so we have to keep houses moving through our assembly line in order to keep the lights on, but we're just going to get a little bit pickier. And at the same time, we're just going to become better operators. And I think those two things combined are going to help us thrive through this market.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun to watch, and we get to talk
I'm excited.
every other week.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.